And we're back here for the second quarter. Brooks up, and it's for the defensive stopper of Canada. Again, he had a great game just a few days ago, as Doncic does not start the second quarter. These are the minutes that Canada needs to optimize. But you gotta think that if you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander walking towards the scorer's table, you're gonna see Luka Doncic walking towards the scorer's table as Slovenia hit another three. They've been hot from downtown, Kajan, this Slovenia team has, which is worrying if you're cheering for the boys in white.
Mm-hmm.
Brooks now gives it off to Olynyk. Olynyk fouled at the three-point line. Are they going to call that a shooting foul? As that's what Olynyk trying to convince the referees of. I'm not sure I agree with him, but I think Kelly is definitely. I'm not going to say embellishing on that one, but definitely trying to tiptoe the line of realistic.
And the threes are falling on both sides of the Nikhil Alexander Walker gets in on the 3-point party.
There ain't no party like a 3-point party. As again, it's open for three is Slovenia, and again, these are the minutes Canada has to capitalize on here against the European side, and they have not been able to. And in fairness, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not on the floor. In fairness to Canada, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter because when both best players are off the floor, you have to have guys like Lou Dort, Nikhil Alexander Walker, our boy Dylan Brooks, who's been upgraded from Dillion. As Dort dries and will get the foul, so he'll go to the line for 2 or less.
Like we said at the end of our stream against Spain, no more Dylan Brooks slander.
No more, not on this show, Kajan. Not on this show.
Not on this show, and not on this show, indeed. And that's what both of them said. And I quote, both of them did say this. So if I'm saying this and you get annoyed at me, I'm like, this it's what Brooks and Barrett said. Saga City, stand up, baby.
Now, are you trying to make me scream, Cajun, or
They said it, not me.
Well, are you trying to make me scream? Canada makes both, by the way. Now on the fast break, Dylan Brooks. Oh my goodness, Cajun.
Would you have been
Dylan
okay
Brooks
with
tried
me
to catch
saying that
a
if he finished it?
body. Dylan Brooks tried to convince himself he was from Scarborough with that body. Oh my goodness.
Don't get me started with Scarborough, man.
Cajun, he was going to your ends over there, as you would say.
Yes, sir.
And Dylan
This
Brooks
is the first, though.
This is number one. Gee. I'm happy about that, Cage, and I'm happy about that. But again, fouls were a problem for Canada in the game against Spain. Again, RJ Barrett fouled out with a minute and a half left. Dylan Brooks had 4 fouls. Lou Dort had 4 fouls. I think Shea had 3 by the end.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, a lot better by the Canadians to not have about 94 fouls after one quarter. So hopefully they can keep it that way, as that's a little too easy there by the Canadians inside. As again, Slovenia is kind of going tit for tat here without Doncic on the floor. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is back on the floor for the Canadians. He got fouled though outside the 3-point line, so it will be a dead ball in favor of the white shirts. And again, Cajun, I think that shows the one problem, the one thing you can attack on this Canadian team is the lack of big presence in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not trying to disparage guys like Olynyk or Dwight Powell, but they're just not, they're not premier big men in the NBA. So they definitely have that type of weakness. And it's been showing a lot in the past couple of games, especially against Spain, as Dort almost coughed it up. He passed it over to Shea, almost got doubled, will get doubled now. Brooks takes a dribble. Brooks for three, and it's short, and it's well short. And that's a
It's
kick
kind
ball
of a
there
shock
off.
to see him miss like that the way he's been shooting.
Yeah, and the way he collected as well, Cage. And that's a kick ball off of Nikhil Alexander Walker.
And Dwight Powell with the foul right there, but that's only their first team foul. Meanwhile, Slovenia, with their next team foul, will be in the penalty, and Canada will shoot free throws for the rest of the half. With the rest of the half, for the rest of the half.
Sorry, Cajun. I've been a little quiet as Slovenia hit another three, as I've just been quickly messing around with the first quarter that will be going up in just mere moments. Yes, I am my own production team, unless I make Cajun do it, which I will not tonight, as my computer is seemingly wanting to agree with me, Cajun, as Nikhil Alexander Walker lays it up and in.
But right now, Canada and Slovenia, they're switching two for three. And but I do like what Canada is doing, attacking the basket at will, especially since the next foul would put Canada at the free throw line. As you see this nice move there by Nikhil Alexander Walker off the spin, trying to emulate his cousin right there. Slovenia calls for time.
And again, the Canadians up by one currently, as the Sportsnet broadcast, of course, will go to their regularly scheduled break. But I want to mention this here, Cajun. Now, this game has been very offensive already. That's the most offensive game we've seen in Canada. And if you want proof of why, there have been 10 total rebounds so far in this game. 6 in favor of Canada, 4 in favor of Slovenia. Okay? Canada is shooting 75% from the field, 12 for 16 from the floor. Slovenia is shooting 60% from the field, 9 for 15 from the floor. All right, Cajun?
Hmm.
Getting those numbers? Now, this is where it gets even more ludicrous. Canada's shooting 83% from three. They're 5 for 6 right now. Slovenia is shooting almost 78%, 77.8% at 7 of 9 from three. And both teams have missed one free throw on 5 and 6 attempts, respectively. 5 for Canada, 6 for Slovenia. So this has been a torrid pace set by these two sides. And you've got to expect that the scoring is going to go eventually. Obviously, you wouldn't expect either side to keep shooting like this. We've seen teams shoot like this through a full game, but never both. We'll see if either of these two teams slow down, and when they do slow down, who slows down first? Is that I believe makes it 10 for Slovenia from behind the arc. RJ kicks it, swung all the way around. Dylan Brooks for three, and it's no good. Brooks is seemingly forgotten his shooting pants at the hotel. It did move. They're no longer in Indonesia. It's now in the Philippines.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander scores on the inside and says, "I've had enough. Let me
In
take over."
playing well enough where that is improvement, Cajun, because I think you and I both remember when they played Brazil and he hit a lot of ISO ball against Brazil, and it was ugly to watch at points. Is what I'm going to choose to say. Ugly at points to watch. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to the ISO
Hmm.
ball.
Good defense there from Brooks, forcing the Luka miss.
And I
And Luka just got teed up.
A foul at basically the line there by Doncic. Did he get teed up? Oh my!
Yeah, he did.
There to provoke attack. It's one shot and the ball, unlike an unsportsmanlike foul, which is two shots and the ball. So basically, the FIBA equivalent of a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2.
I still don't agree with that unsportsmanlike foul that Dylan Brooks had.
Well, they've been on him a lot this tournament, Kajan. With the unsportsmanlike fouls, they've called him for 3. One got reviewed, and they took it back as that's money for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who looks hot in this game, Cajun. He's got 8. Does Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The Slovenians finally missed from behind the arc, and Canada's got a chance here. Barrett on the dribble. Barrett left-handed, and R.J. Barrett. Timeout by Slovenia.
Man refuses to use his right hand going right.
Apparently, Tom Thibodeau's been doing other things with his training.
But a nice response, though, from Canada. An 8-0 run after Slovenia went up by 4. And that Luka Tech really kind of swayed things in favor of Team Canada for the last minute, as the wealth is basically being shared by Team Canada, and we haven't really seen it to a degree so far in this game because Slovenia shot so well from behind the arc. But the wealth is being shared by everyone on Team Canada. You got Brooks scoring a little bit, Dort hitting some threes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker getting percolating a little bit. I gotta use a walk for Fraser term here. SGA started off well. Barrett's attacking the rim. We even saw some good minutes from Kyle Alexander and Melvin Edger. As you can see here, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 8 points, 2 rebounds. They're coming out of the timeout. And it's interesting that they're using Luka off the ball, who's being pestered by Dylan Brooks, now switched on to Dort, and that's a tough step back 3 from Luka Doncic, but rudimentary for him.
Talk about making it look easy, Cajun.
And it wasn't. And that was a lazy pass there from Brooks.
You gotta expect Doncic will probably play the rest of this. How you made that shot. Again, you've got Dort and Brooks on the floor. Brooks on. And look at Doncic and
Brooks.
Attacking the chest of Luka Doncic and said, he's good as Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks
teaching Alexander Walker and
Brooks telling Luka how it's done. Said no one ever.
You'd think, but I mean, in fairness to Dylan Brooks, he's been really good this year for Canada. Consistently good for Canada. As Doncic misses, Doncic now still barking at the referee there as he gives a great effort on defense, and Shea got fouled, so he'll get 2 at the line. I gotta be honest here, Cajun, and this is something that I'm surprised no one's ever beaten out of Luka Doncic. Because Doncic is a supremely talented player. you can't say enough good things about him as an offensive talent. Defensively, you'd like some more effort, in my opinion, but he's so good offensively that it doesn't matter. For him, it does not matter how bad his defense is. He's so good offensively that way, right? The barking at the referee stuff, I wish he would quit. And I understand it gets aggravating, bothersome, and just ridiculous. Some of the things you don't get that you think you should, especially near the paint, near the rim. But the reality is, barking is just going to get yourself in more trouble. So,
Yes.
swallow your pride. If that means swallow your ego, then do that too. Make the basket and go back to the other end and play defense. There's no reason to keep barking the referee because you're just going to cost your team more with the untechnical foul we saw just, a couple of minutes ago in this second, or I guess right at the start of the second quarter, rather. Right? So you just kind of wish that Luka had that, I'll say beaten out of him, but, taken out of his game many
Oh my
moons ago.
goodness.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
The defense parted like the Red Sea right there. My goodness.
And that's his 10th point of the game as they miss another three to the Slovenians, rebounded by Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's looked great tonight, Kajan. My goodness. Now, Shea drives in. Brooks thought about shooting it. He'll dribble it in. Out for Alexander-Walker for three, and it just is a little short. And I got to be honest here, Kajan. Lou Dort has gotten some awful fouls here. He has been definitely. I'm not gonna go as far as to say targeted. That seems a little. That seems a little. Seems a little too forward. But
Mm-hmm.
some of these fouls that poor Lou Dort's getting called on him, they don't seem fair to me. I don't feel like other players
Questionable.
are getting called by the same rule book. And I don't complain about referees. I don't plan to do it on this stream. I don't plan to do it on any one of the two shows we've got going right now, or any other show I might start later. But I will just say, all we want as fans is consistency. Yeah, you'll still get those backseat keyboard warriors after a game, but all we want is consistency. As long as you're consistently bad, then we can't be mad because you're consistently bad.
Mm-hmm.
As Brooks now, what a pass there to Alexander. Gives it off there. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, rather, as Dort got it poked off his hands. Doncic now trying to get through Alexander-Walker. Can't get it to go, and then they call the block against Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Doncic still hasn't gotten up yet. See, that's when as a Canadian, I'd have to say something. There's some actual. There you go. There's some Dirk fans there, and there's some Mavs fans there in the crowd.
Dirk to Doncic.
I'm not sure, Cajun. I'm not sure if that's a block. I'm not saying it ain't a block. I'm not even thinking it's a charge, but I think Nikhil's inside his cylinder to me. I don't think he was shuffling his feet there.
It's a tiny bit of shuffle there at the end.
Yeah, but normally they give you that. Normally they give you the little shuffle. The little shuffle. Not a big step, but normally they let you readjust your feet. Normally it's Doncic misses number one.
That's
Yeah, I
a
think that's
beat
fatigue because he looks bagged. He looks bagged.
That's a
He's
beat elbow
covered in
there.
sweat. Like he's already played a full game.
Yep. If you don't know what
Free
BDL
throw is
means,
for
it
the
means
tie
all
here.
over.
The great Rasheed Wallace, I think, is the one who popularized that, and I think Canada takes a timeout here. 55th Canadians take a timeout here in the basically latter half of the first half. 59 seconds remaining here in quarter. Canadian Cajuns is having a really good game, and in my opinion, it is. I'm looking at favorite, but you feel like right now, if this game is to keep going like this, Canada's gonna have good chance of, just because of, I'm not going to try to accuse the Slovenians of being a one-player team, because they're not. They've been making a lot of shots, Cajun, throughout this game. But you got to think, who's going to cool down first? The Canadians, a litany of NBA bodies, or the Slovenians with a lot of non-NBA bodies? And that is not to say that there is not basketball outside the NBA. We've talked about the EuroLeague before. We've talked about WNBA. I love college ball. That'll be coming very soon, especially with all the turmoil, with all the realignment of the conferences. It's going to affect basketball and every other sport, because of now basically it's going to be the power two and the third power there between the ACC and the Big 12, which is, and then just the Big 12, basically like the mid, where Oklahoma and Texas are right now, which they are actually leaving for the Southeastern Conference, better known as the SEC. So before I bore you with all the just logistics of that, Doncic, who shot 2 for 11 from 3 against Germany in a 23-point outing, he has 17 already. And of course, my stream wants to buffer his Doncic slowly, methodically brings it up the floor.
Good
Again,
defense
Dwight Powell. Again, Dwight Powell defending his, I believe, still teammate currently, as he got hassled there quickly up to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who will clear it over. But a second between shot clock and game clock, so Canada will have basically the last possession of the game. Barrett trying to get through his defender. Barrett up, no good, and that will be the half. 50-50 tie after 2 here in the Philippines, as the quarters are split 26-24 after 1 in favor of Canada, 26-24 in favor of Slovenia in the second quarter, which takes us to 50-50 going into half. But again, these averages, Cajun, no team is shooting less than 54%. That's Canada from 3 is 54.5%. No team is shooting less than that in either field goal percentage or 3-point, either team. So if you're a betting man, which I kind of am, you're no longer, formally, but no longer, you have to expect those averages are gonna slow down here.
Yeah.
If not immediately after the half, damn close to it, right? So yeah. Again, we'll say this, and we'll see what you think, Cajun. Whoever slows down first will probably be the team that loses this game. And that's worrying for the Canadians. That is worrying for the Canadians, because that is I'll say a 50-50 chance. Might skew that a little bit better in Canada's favor with all the NBA bodies, but regardless, is if Canada comes out and misses their first 3 shots or first 4 shots of the third quarter, it's going to get very dangerous, because neither team can seemingly get a stop twice in a row. It always seems like they get a stop, and then the other team gets a stop, and then they switch baskets, basically. So we'll see whoever can get the first couple of stops in a row. If that's in the third quarter, the beginning of it, or if that's later in the third quarter, or even into the fourth quarter, we'll have to see. But it is definitely going to be an interesting second half between Canada and Slovenia in the quarterfinals at the FIBA World Cup.